Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Fatima. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Jetta. Shout out to Carl. Shout out to Dee. And then Monica. Shout out to America. Shout out to Maria. Shout out to Robert. Hello everyone, thank you for joining. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Jayla. Shout out to Azori. Shout out to Carmen. My day's going well. Thank you for asking. How about you? Shout out to Bryce. Shout out to Leanne. Shout out to Scarlett. Whoops, I put a C. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to Kai. Thank you so much, D. Monica. I'm glad you checked out my channel. Shout out to Jasenia. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Kevin. Give me 30 seconds. Well, not even 30 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. Shout out to Savage. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Corn. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put your name here. I truly appreciate it. Corn. Shout out to Corn B23. Thank you. Shout out to Madeline. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Geneva, sorry. Shout out to Geneva. Shout out to Jalen. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Shout out to Shadow. Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Nanar. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Deja. Shout out to Leland. Shout out to Jaquan. Shout out to Yosel. Shout out to Ernest. Shout out to Lizzie. Shout out to Audrey. Shout out to Auburn. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to, is it Kale? Kyle? Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Amelia. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I live stream every day. I also post other content. I hope you can check it out as well. I would truly appreciate it if you subscribe. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Gloria. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to Carter. Shout out to Liam. Shout out to, excuse me. Shout out to Lalisa. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Diana. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Violet. Shout out to Katie. Shout out to Benjamin. Shout out to is it Emmanuel? Shout out to Ezra. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Valentina. Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to Camila. Shout out to Jam. Shout out to Reagan. Shout out to Emmanuel, I got you. Shout out to Emanuela. Shout out to Maxie. Shout out to Jalen. Oops. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Gia. Shout out to Aiden. Shout out to Andy. Thank you. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Daphne. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Trent. Shout out to Dawn. Shout out to Phoenix. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you everyone for being here. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Jocelyn. Shout out to Itzel. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to Charlotte. I'm gonna put Charlotte over here so it fits. Shout out to Aria. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Grady. Shout out to Bentley. Shout out to Eleanor. Shout out to Harper. Shout out to Alicia. Shout out to Maverick. Shout out to Tempress. Shout out to Ben. Shout out to Audrey. Shout out to Penelope. Shout out to Jaylee. Shout out to Briley. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Kate. Shout out to Heavenly. Shout out to Mason. Shout out to Amber. Shout out to Ansley. Shout out to Graham. Shout out to Della Winstead. Thank you so much. I think I'll write your name again on the next page because it's a little squished down here. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. I would truly appreciate it. I live stream every day around the same time. I also post other content. I hope you can check it out as well and leave likes. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Della Winstead. Shout out to Blessing. Shout out to Samara. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Gregory. Shout out to Travis. Shout out to Belle. Shout out to Jamila. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Ivy. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Adanaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Isaiah. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I think it's Isaias. Shout out to Amia. Or Amaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Grayson. Oh, I forgot if Grayson's with an A or an E. Shout out to Paris. Shout out to Byron. Oh, Grayson with an A. Thank you. Shout out to Sabir. Shout out to Clara. Shout out to Marcus. Shout out to Virginia. Shout out to Kyla. Kylia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Emma. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Shout out to Jean. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Layla. Shout out to, is it Illy? Shout out to Illy Huda. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Heavenly. Shout out to Jaylene. Shout out to Katu or K2. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Devna. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Pia. Shout out to Loanne. Thank you everyone for your patience. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Rex. Shout out to Jameer. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to Alexis. Shout out to Briley. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Nicolin. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Sky. Shout out to Malachi. Shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Elogosa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Tiana. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Raylan. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Taylor. Shout out to Jada. Shout out to Aria. Shout Shout out to Lexi. Shout out to Bentley. Shout out to Talon. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Goober. Shout out to May. Shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Melania. Shout out to Zenora. Shout out to Samir. Shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Jade. Shout out to Tristan. Shout out to Day. Excuse me. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to Bo. Shout out to Reed. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Peaches. Shout out to Emma, happy birthday. Shout out to Libby. Shout out to Atlas. Shout out to Clara. Shout out to Akayo. Shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Cami. Shout out to Samir. Shout out to Azalea. Shout out to Gemma. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Zane. Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Alice. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to Jaira. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Finley. Angeline. Shout out to Aaliyah. Shout out to Joshua. Shout out to Brooke. Shout out to Alexi. Shout out to Alana. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Jenny. Shout out to Pedro. I'm going to write your name on the other page because it's like at the edge. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Let me write your name before I forget. Shout out to Pedro, Mini Little. Okay. Before I forget. Thank you everyone for being here. Please like and subscribe. I live stream every day around the same time as this. I would truly appreciate it if you subscribe or leave a like. Also check out my channel. I post other content. I post things like this. Okay, I hope you can check it out. These are like little Valentine cards. Okay, and there's a little flippy thing right here too. So I hope you can check it out. I also do things like this as well. I do other cards. I hope you can check it out. I would truly appreciate it. Shout out to Annie. Shout out to Ramses. Shout out to Lena. Happy birthday. Shout out to Belle. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to Vanessa. Shout out to Satya. Happy birthday. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Brooke. Shout out to Jolene. Shout out to King. Shout out to Juju. Shout out to Donatello. Shout out to Jane. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to Arabella. Happy birthday. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Briella. Shout out to Colton. Shout out to Aziz. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Emery. Shout out to Charles. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. Shout out to Miranda. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Braven. Shout out to Adina. Thank you. Shout out to Matthias. Shout out to Kenneth. Shout out to Raylan. Thank you for subscribing. Oops, I don't think I spelled your name right. No, I didn't. Oops, can you, oh, there we go, Raylan. Okay, did I get it? Did I write it correctly? Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to Tyra. Shout out to Memphis. Shout out to Cambry. Shout out to Bentley. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Nevea. Shout out to Jakey. Shout out to Remy. I'm so sorry if I haven't gotten to you. Thank you so much for your patience. Shout out to Haven. Shout out to Khaled. Shout out to Tegan. Shout out to Brianna. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to Lennox. Shout out to James. Shout out to Taylor. Jakey, I got you. Shout out to, was it Spinosaurus? I don't know if I spelled it correctly. Shout out to Kenny. Shout out to Veronica. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Bailey. Shout out to Paisley. Shout out to Raven. Shout out to Eli, or Ellie. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Lou. Shout out to Alexis. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Kyron, or Kieran. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Anaya. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Nora. Shout out to Cooper. Shout out to Onyx. Shout out to Harley. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Amarilis. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Ronaldo. Shout out to Dylan. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Isla. Shout out to Andre. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to Callie. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Bex. Shout out to Kanon. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Ness. Shout out to Sky. Shout out to Brazil. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Dom. Shout out to Shani, or Chani. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kinsley. Shout out to Jax. Shout out to Carter. I don't think, oh yeah, I spelled it right. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Izzy. Shout out to Bethany. Shout out to Brenda. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Sammy. Shout out to these people. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. On to the next page. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. I live stream every day around the same time as this. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Please check out my channel as well. I hope you can support me by checking out my channel, leaving likes. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Hollis. Shout out to Michaela. Shout out to Gina. Shout out to Quinn. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to DJ. Shout out to Annabelle. Shout out to Gia. Shout out to Dwight. Shout out to Georgia. Shout out to Atlas. Shout out to Paige. Shout out to Trixie. Shout out to Rosie. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Kylo. Shout out to Evie. Shout out to Owen. Shout out to Carson. Shout out to Annie. Shout out to Zane. Shout out to Giselle. Shout out to Hoorain. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Nessie. Shout out to Matthew. Shout out to Aaliyah. Shout out to Michaela. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Isaac. Shout out to Zyla, or Zila. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Piper. Shout out to Jeremiah. Shout out to Miranda. Shout out to Dante. Shout out to Alani. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Maine. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to Callie. Shout out to Janelle. Shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Coco. Shout out to Miranda. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Tilly. Shout out to Kayla. Shout out to Blake. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to Juliana. Shout out to Anastasia, or Anastasia, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Noah. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Lihini. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Grain. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Lara. Shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Camila. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Brantley. Shout out to Kyra. Shout out to Tala. Shout out to Food Diaries. Shout out to Lana. Shout out to Ramses. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Olivia. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Aaliyah. Shout out to Mario. Shout out to Bryn. Shout out to Angel. Oops. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Malro. Shout out to Viviana. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Mason. Shout out to Jenny. Shout out to Raina. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Brooke. Shout out to Lena Adino. Shout out to Sonic Force. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Malik. Shout out to Belen. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Gabriel. Shout out to Denise. Shout out to Annie. Shout out to, excuse me. Jada, happy birthday. Shout out to Abigail. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Ace. Shout out to Morgan. Shout out to Mattis. Happy birthday. Shout out to Calvin. Shout out to Karen. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Axel. Shout out to Raylan. Shout out to Raymond. Shout out to Camila. Shout out to Amaya, or Amia, sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Lori. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you for your patience in writing your name and taking the time to write your name. I know I'm not the fastest writer, so I appreciate your time. Shout out to Charlotte. Shout out to Annie. I also live stream every day, so please subscribe if you like the shout outs. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Brianna. I live stream around the same time as right now. Shout out to Raylan. Shout out to Cadence. Shout out to Toby. Thank you for subscribing. Toby D. Shout out to Akita Hart. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to William. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Liliana. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Catalea. Shout out to Kennedy. Shout out to Mike Hawk. Shout out to Felix. Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to Gyro. Shout out to Sonia. Or Sonaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kinsley. Shout out to Arlene. Shout out to Han. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Malaysia. Leave leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Lorenzo. Shout out to Itzel. Shout out to Imogen. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Mesa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Lila. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Amanda. Shout out to Esther. Shout out to Ramani. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Piper. Shout out to Jet. Shout out to Heidi. Sorry if I mispronounced her name. Shout out to Maite. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Nadia. Shout out to Jan. Shout out to Beckett. Shout out to Nadia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to Channing. Shout out to Brooks. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Leanna. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Kyra or Kira. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Hannah YouTube too. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Addie. Shout out to Jose. Shout out to Skitsuna. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kyriel. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Amber. Shout out to Presley. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Rafi. Shout out to Andy. Thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Christina. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jason in Scotland. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Rain. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Noah Del Reef. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Noah Del Reef. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Katie. Shout out to Afin. Shout out to Colin. Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Baka. Shout out to Lyric. Thank you for subscribing. Leave a like if you enjoy the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Sienna. Shout out to Mosine. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Kristen. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Madeline. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Typerin. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Khaled. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Crystal. Shout out to Wyatt. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to J Monster 01. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to J Monster 01. Shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Samantha. Shout out to Kyle. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Caleb. Greek. Shout out to Selena. Shout out to Kate. Shout out to Ledger. Shout out to Owen. Shout out to Neymar Ortiz. Shout out to Gemma. Shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to these people. I'm Ness. My YouTube channel is NessDIYcorner. Please subscribe. I do live streams every day around the same time. I also post other content. I hope you can check out my channel and support. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you for your patience. Thank you for taking the time to write your name. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Corbin. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Katrina. Shout out to Kay. Shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Sumter. Shout out to Yoons. Shout out to Lennox. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Mila. Shout out to Lorenzo. Shout out to Malin. Shout out to Neymar. Shout out to Angelina. Shout out to Nico. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Brantley. Shout out to Jaira. Sorry if I mispronounced her name. Shout out to Jewel. Shout out to Justice. Shout out to Genesis. Shout out to Azul. Shout out to Kylie. Shout out to Jeremy. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Jenny. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to Carrie. Shout out to Miranda. Shout out to Trista. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Kasim. Shout out to Arlet. Whoopsie, I messed up. Let me rewrite your name. Shout out to Arlet. Shout out to Alan. Shout out to Josie. Shout out to Lottie. Shout out to Byler. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Aaron. Shout out to Andy. Shout out to Silas. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Ruhi. Shout out to Abby. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Jocelyn. Shout out to Eleni. Happy birthday. Shout out to Junior. Shout out to Janora. Shout out to Kelsey. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Jace. Shout out to Brianna. Shout out to Jackson. Good night, Ramani. Thank you for stopping by. Shout out to Ramani. Shout out to Natalia. Shout out to Lena. Shout out to Ruhi. Happy birthday. Shout out to Owen. Shout out to Aurelie. Shout out to Kimberly. Shout out to Kendall. Shout out to Finn. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to Idris. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Breezy. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Juliana. Shout out to Sunhara. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Maxwell. Shout out to, just write your name in the chat and I'll shout you out. Shout out to Angelica. Shout out to Tegan. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Georgina. Shout out to Solomon. Shout out to Miles. Shout out to Gemma. Shout out to Dharma. Shout out to Millie. Shout out to Layla. Shout out to Zaya. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to Mateo. Shout out to Jesus. Shout out to Amanda. Shout out to Adela. Shout out to Adelaide. Adelaide May. Shout out to Kenley. Shout out to Winona. Shout out to Gabby. Shout out to Kevin. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Or Kevin. Shout out to Nevaeh. Shout out to, what is it? Belcentrina? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Araceli. Shout out to Rose. Shout out to Ezekiel. Shout out to Dalton. Shout out to these people. Thank you so much for being here. I live stream every day. Please like and subscribe to support my channel. I would truly appreciate it. I live stream around the same time. Please check out my channel. I post other content. I hope you can support and leave a like around some of the videos. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to write your name. I will see you next time. Bye. Take care, everyone. Bye.